I think we're about at number 6 in this little trip down memory lane. So now we're at the point of leaving the classroom. What would I do for the rest of my life? Where would I work? Could I go back to being a pastor? Would I be a teacher somewhere else? That door was pretty well shut for me, at least in the United States. And so we had to make a decision. So we bought the motorhome. And we decided we would just travel. We would not go with any specific destination in mind, except one thing. I had never before even investigated self-supporting institutions that were not funded by the church. I had always been a salaried employee of the conference, either as a pastor or as a teacher. I'd known that self-supporting ministries were out there and doing a good work. Weimar had been started by that time, and I realized that they were doing a good work, but I'd never become personally involved or investigated any of these groups. So I made the decision that we would head out and investigate. And so we began to travel. We traveled around the United States. We traveled to South Dakota, to the Black Hills, where there was a self-supporting group. We traveled to Wildwood. We traveled to various places around the country just to investigate, to see what was going on. Would any of these places be a place where we could be part of a ministry? Because I really did not want to start my own ministry. I feel like I want to be part of a larger group, not just my own ministry by myself. I think there are some dangers connected with that. And so I decided that would not be my first choice. So again, that year went by. We traveled. And we got to Southern California. And we had some meetings in that area that were arranged by people. I went through my gospel presentation. And in one of those meetings, Elder Joe Cruz was in the audience. Now, I'd met Joe before that time. I'd even had him come to one of my classes at Pacific Union College and talk to my theology majors. But I'd never known him really personally. And so I decided that I wanted to get better acquainted. And so we talked for a while. And he, out of the blue, said, "Would you consider coming to Amazing Facts?" And that had never even dawned on me as something that I'd be the slightest bit interested in doing. And I said, "Now, what would I do at Amazing Facts? I'm not an evangelist. I'm a teacher." And he said, "What we need at Amazing Facts, in addition to our excellent evangelists, we need people to go to our churches and talk to them about the issues relating to salvation and preparation for the second coming of Christ in a revival type of ministry." And that's what he asked us to do. And so that became the issue. Is that the best thing that we could do with the rest of our lives, or at least for a few years? Would this be a good option for us? And of course, that took a lot of praying and thinking about what those options should be. And without too long a period passing, we came to a decision. This just may be what the Lord wants us to do. Because here I can give the messages that the Lord has impressed upon my mind, and I can speak openly and without too much fear of recrimination from superiors. So we said, we'll give it a chance. We'll see what we can do. And we accepted the invitation to be part of the ministry of Amazing Facts. I thought we might be able to do that for 4 or 5 years, probably. And then probably we'd have to find something more secure for the long run. And so we said, we'll give it a try. I'm not the biggest name in the world in terms of invitation to churches. What churches might want to invite me to speak about an issue that was controversial at Pacific Union College? And so I said, we'll give it a try. And I did ask for one thing. I did ask that Amazing Facts would allow me to keep my family together, that I would not accept speaking appointments across the country and fly back to my home every weekend, but that if they would allow us to travel in a motorhome with my family together, I would accept the position, and we would join Amazing Facts. And I also asked for one more thing. Please do not arrange meetings for me. Please do not try to find meetings for me. Please do not try to keep me busy. If the Lord wants me to be busy, He'll take care of that. If the Lord arranges meetings, I'll be glad to step into them. But we want this to be not a produced ministry, but a word-of-mouth, grassroots ministry. So that's what we did. And he was very gracious. Joe and I have formed a very strong bond of friendship over the years, and I regret that he's no longer a part of us. We'll see him soon. But I thought maybe a few years, maybe, again, my material being somewhat controversial, as people saw it, and sometimes even called divisive. And so I said, we'll see how long this lasts. Well, here I am, 30-some years later, speaking in front of an Amazing Facts camera at the Amazing Facts headquarters. I would never have predicted that in my wildest imagination, that I have been doing this longer than I have been doing anything else in my lifetime, and enjoying it more. This has been an outstanding experience for us. So I just want to say this one thing just out of my heart. This is not a plug for Amazing Facts. This is just reality. Probably Amazing Facts is the only radio television ministry that I could ever have been doing this in my entire life as a way of life on a regular basis, year in and year out. Amazing Facts has supported us completely over the years, has never flinched when opposition came in, and opposition has come in, has always said, you do what the Lord leads you to do, and you do it in the way that will best satisfy your needs, your convictions, and the Holy Spirit's leading. So I just want to say I am so grateful for a ministry like Amazing Facts. We're not the only ones that are good that are around, but this is one of the best of the best. And I have appreciated very much their support for all these years through a change in leadership at Amazing Facts as well, when Elder Cruz died rather suddenly. And we all wondered, would Amazing Facts survive? Would this be a ministry into the future or not? And Bill May came in and took it over and made sure it would survive for a few years, and then he passed away. And so this was a kind of a rocky period for the future of Amazing Facts. But they held firm, and the supporters of Amazing Facts have held firm, and we're still going strong and stronger. And I am just very, very pleased that this could be our ministry over these years. So we are still out there on the road. We are holding these meetings. In fact, the entire sum and substance of my meetings as I go around the country can be summarized in two areas. Number one, the message of Seventh-day Adventism and the gospel of Seventh-day Adventism. What is our real message? What should we be talking about when we talk about truth and salvation? There are a lot of good things to talk about. There are prophecies that need to be understood, and our Amazing Facts evangelists are excellent at expounding the prophecies pointing to the second coming of Christ and urging for conversion so that we do not miss out on what is ahead of us. There are doctrines that need to be clarified. I taught a class in Bible doctrines that is crucially important, that we know what our doctrines are. But if there's any one thing that is more important than anything else, it's the gospel. If we are wrong on prophecy, if we are wrong on doctrines, even some doctrines that we think are important, but if we get our relationship with Christ important, I think we'll survive. We'll have some time in heaven to sort out where our problems were and what our mistakes were. But there will be no one in heaven that does not have a living, strong relationship with Jesus, based on truth, not error. And so this becomes, in my mind, the most important issue in Seventh-day Adventism. What is our message of salvation? And so I focused almost all of my attention on that. And then the second issue, what's our mission? What was Adventism called to do and be? Why are we here? Why did God bring a movement out of many other churches into existence? Simply to get the facts right and get people baptized and take the gospel to the world? Well, that's great. We need to do all of that. We need to give the message of salvation to as many as are willing to listen. But I do not believe, I really seriously do not believe that that's our primary mission. That is a mission of ours. But I really believe that we were called into existence to vindicate the name of God, to tell the truth about God's character, and more importantly, to live the truth about God so that the lies of Satan can be exposed. And one of the greatest lies of Satan is, you've got fallen natures. You can't possibly obey God's law. It's too rigid, and God is too merciful. He'll just overlook those areas in which you don't measure up and you don't live like Christ. Those are some of the lies that have to be refuted before God can be fully vindicated in his handling of the sin problem. So that is, again, I think, the second issue that's important in the messages I bring to the churches around the country, is that our mission is way more than evangelism. Our mission is preparing to receive the seal of God, preparing a character that will stand though the heavens fall, that will survive the onslaughts of the enemy. I believe that is why we were called into existence. And that is what has to happen before we can do something that we call finishing the work. We hear about that a lot. But finishing the work, first of all, is finishing the work in our hearts. And you know the 1888 message has so much to say about that. That this is why we are here, this is what must happen. And it's one of the reasons that the 1888 message is despised today, because of that emphasis by some. So, here we are. We are here 30 years later, with amazing facts, happy to be part of an evangelistic organization that sees that its job is more than just soul winning. Its job is to prepare a church for the second coming of Jesus Christ. And we want to be part of that. We have been here too long. We've been here on this earth over 100 years longer than Christ had originally planned. And we have all kinds of reasons why he isn't here. The worst reason given that I have ever heard is we're waiting for God to finish his time clock. Once he finishes up the necessary amounts of hours, minutes, days, months, and years, he will come at his own time of his own choosing. That has to be the worst explanation of why we are still here, and it's very prominent among us today. So how long will we continue to be here? As long as the hearts of God's people are not ready for the seal of God. Revelation 7, 1-3 is very clear that the angels are instructed to hold the winds of strife until God's people are sealed in their foreheads, which means, according to Ellen White, settling into the truth intellectually and spiritually so they cannot be moved. That is the calling of Seventh-day Adventism. And when that is complete, we go home. Until that is completed, we wonder why Jesus isn't coming soon. So that's what we've been doing. That's our message that we've been carrying to the churches around the country and in Australia and New Zealand about what the purpose of Adventism really is. Yes, it is somewhat controversial. Yes, it does divide, because we have issues today in the church that were not in the church that I grew up in. But today we have those issues because of a word called pluralism, which means different beliefs equally acceptable within a body. Now that has happened in many churches, and only in the last maybe 20 to 30 years has it become a dominant issue in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, in which different views, different perspectives, even different truths are all acceptable under the umbrella of Seventh-day Adventism. The unity that we often hear spoken of is really a facade until it becomes a unity under truth and for the sake of truth. So our perspective and our attitude is today, find those people who are willing to receive the final message of God and prepare for eternity. And that's what we're trying to do.